All right, so page number 133, and the topic is Unit 20, identifying the different components of a lesson plan. So as I have told you in the previous lesson, this all we are leading going towards the lesson planning, like the unit 19 we did for that reason. Okay, so stepwise we are going towards the lesson plan, and in this you will find that how the lesson plan is important, how we prepare it, what are the things we need to do, how it helps us regarding a teaching a lesson. Okay, so the first thing which is there is how do we identify the different components of a lesson plan. In the lesson plan there are different components. How do we identify what component is for what reason we are doing? So first of all, generally they are asking you here, do you think a lesson plan is most like an instruction leaflet, a photograph, a story, a roadmap, a computer program, a series of road signs, a written summary, or something else? It's out of it there, that is something. Can you figure it out? Anyone tell me, what do you think lesson plan you might be familiar with? What is it like out of it? Gimhani?
Roadmap.
Roadmap. Who said? Gimhani said or Kumarika said?
Madhubhashini said.
Madhubhashini. Kumarika? Oya ki anne?
So it is like a series of road signs.
Road signs, fine. Fatih?
It's a roadmap, sir.
Gimhani?
So it is like a roadmap.
Roadmap. Okay. Madavi?
Like a roadmap, sir.
Roadmap. Madami, are you sick?
Having cold, sir.
All right. Okay. Fine. Then Malisha. I was going to say Manuja. Madhubhashini said Nilanka. You said?
No, sir.
Yeah.
It's a roadmap.
Roadmap. Then
Yeah.
Sujika.
Yes, it's like a roadmap.
So maximum of you, one said road sign also and roadmap. Road signs tell you not continuously about the road, but at different intervals it guides you toward regarding the roads. Okay, like a bumpy road is there, turning is there, crossroad is there. There you will find the road signs. And a road map is continuously from the beginning till the end, complete guidance is there. That is called roadmap. So let's see what they say here. A lesson plan is a set of notes that help us to think through what we are going to teach and how we are going to teach. Two things they're talking about here. What are we going to teach and how we are going to teach? So what we are going to teach, we discussed in the 19 unit in detail, right? Now, how we are going to teach, that's we have to find out. It also guides us during and after the lesson. We can identify the most important components of lesson plan by thinking carefully about our learners. Guidance of the lesson plan is not only before, during and after also, it guides us regarding the lessons. Right. And we can identify the most important components of a lesson plan by thinking carefully about our learners. That's the important thing. Whenever you are making a lesson plan, learners have to be kept in mind. Why? Because ultimately this lesson plan is for the learners, for our students. So that we need to keep in mind. In what aspect we have to keep that in mind, that we will discuss further. What we want our learners to do and how we want them to do it. is simple as it's said. So a lesson plan is probably most like a roadmap and a series of road signs. So we will combine. One person has given me the answer of road signs, maximum say a roadmap. So roadmap and road signs, if you those who are driving or they are familiar with the driving, they know that roadmap is complete from one end to another end. It guides you like if you go by the Google map. And the road signs, it guides you at the particular turn and twist and the condition of the road. That's how it happens to us in the lesson planning. That what we supposed to do at different times when we teach something, how we have to present it and how we have to plan the timings for it, what type of material and supplementary material we have to use in it, what type of what is this teaching aids we have to use in it, right? And what this lesson plan is for what age of the student. Is it for the adults, it is for young adults, it's for young learners, or it's for very young learners? So different categories are there. All these things we take care of it in the lesson plan, right? For example, something that shows us where we are going and how we are going to get there. Although we may sometimes find that during the journey we have to take a different route. Now, the first thing which is they're talking something that shows us where we are going and how we are going to get there. That's the thing which we understand. The third point which they are talking, I want to talk about it. That is, although we may sometimes find that during the journey, we have to take a different route. Now, that thing is important. What does it mean? Like when you are teaching, there you have to deviate from the lesson plan. I'm coming towards that, but first of all, try to understand while we are just normally going, for example, from Colombo, we are going to Kandy, and weather is not good, and they suddenly on the radio or we get a text message, everyone has the news alert, and they say the main Kandy road from Kagol, it is blocked because of a earth slip. So what we do now, we were supposed to go from Colombo to Kandy, and we are going from Varakapola straight away to Kandy to Kagol, the main Kandy road. Now there we have to deviate. Why? Because road is blocked. But we have to reach to destination, what is Kandy. Then we from Varakapola we will take a turn and we will go from the other way, which is Kurunagara road, and from there we will join Kandy from Peradeniya side, right? So that is the deviation happens. Why? Because the usual planning which we have done already going to Kandy, there is some restriction. We can't reach Kandy because of that. So we have to deviate and we have to find another route to get to our destination. The same thing we do in teaching. How? For example, according to the lesson plan, the topic which we are teaching to the students, there if the things which is prescribed in that, the thing which are mentioned in that, if we go by that, those students, they will not get it. Something, not the whole, but something. So there you deviate, you find something different activities, some material in order to make them understand. Because our ultimate goal is what? Not to stick to the lesson plan. The ultimate goal is this lesson plan is also a mean to make the student understand what we are going to teach them. So if we are sticking to the lesson plan, but if we go by what the lesson plan, every step is mentioned because stage wise different steps are there. So there is one step which is difficult for them to understand if we teach them the way it is mentioned in the lesson plan. So what you can do there, you can find some sort of material which will help the student to understand that particular step. And there you will not follow the lesson plan, you will deviate from it. Like the way we did going to Kandy, and the earth slip happened, the main road is blocked, so we take a turn from Warakapola to Kurunagara and we try to reach to our destination. So that's what is the thing which you have to keep in mind, that not to stick very like to the lesson plan if you understand that this particular stage or step in the lesson plan is hard for the student to understand. So you can deviate from it. Is that clear? Is this point clear to you? Give me thumbs, right? Fine.
Sir.
Yeah. Okay. So always keep that option in mind. That lesson plan is to help you to teach to the student. It's not something that you have to stick. If the learning thing process is affected, they are not understanding the way it is you are going to the lesson plan, you have to deviate from it. Why? Because the ultimate goal is to make the student understand. Right, key concepts. The main components of a lesson plan show us that the lesson is for what the lesson is for, mean the aims which we discussed in the previous unit, what the teacher and the learners will do during the lesson and how they will do it. Procedure is mentioned there, stepwise, which we call stage-wise. So those procedures are mentioned stage-wise there, how we are going to do the things, right? Other components of the plan, for example, the timing of different stages or the profile of the group. We are going to see this, what's profile of the group, timing, how important on the next page, okay? Right. It helps us to think about possible problems and remind us of things we need to remind about the learners. Here are some ways a lesson plan helps the teacher. Now, which way the lesson plan is helping you? They have put 3 areas, like before the lesson, during the lesson, and after the lesson. What happened before the lesson? Writing down the aims and procedure of each stage, which we discussed in the previous unit of the lesson, help us to make sure that we plan the clearest and most logical sequence to enable us to achieve the aims. Now, most logical sequence to enable us to achieve the aims. So lesson plan is like a ladder for you, right? And the steps which are in the ladders, they are like stage aims. So you have to go step by step, stage wise, and reach there. And these should be logically connected with each other. For example, logical connection, if I'm giving you the example, how it would be. So if you have a ladder, so in the ladder, the steps are at a particular distance, which you can climb up the ladder. Now, for example, the first and the second step distance is 1 feet, but the second and the third step distance is 3 feet. Is it possible for you to put the step there? No. So logically, it should be in range of your step easily you take to reach the top of the floor, of the roof, you know. So that's how it is. In the lesson plan, stage wise, when you put that steps, stage aims are there, and that should be logically connected with each other. Which now in the ladder you are trying to reach to the top of the floor. Through the lesson plan, what you do, what you are going to teach, you start from the first step till the end to make the student properly understood. That properly understand that what you are teaching, they have learned it. So how they will learn it? When your teaching is logically stepwise connected and easily guiding the student what you are teaching. So that's what you have to take care of it, that before the lesson, that your lesson plan is sequence is logically connected and guiding easily the students towards the topic. Is that clear? All right. Okay. So we will go to the next. During the lesson, the plan can also help us to check timing, the amount of time we plan for each stage. Timing is important. Why? Because you got limited time for teaching, maybe 1 period, 2 periods. Okay. So according to that, the lesson plan need to be timing well, that how long each step will take. Right. Uh, and to check that lesson is following the sequence and we decide on and remind us what to do next. So mostly the timings and the sequence of the lesson, which we have to check whether are we taking more time. Sometime, we teachers, we have habit of speaking going on, so then we forget that we have to cover up. So in the end, when the time is less, then they might wrap up the things quickly. So what will happen when you wrap up the things quickly? You took long time and on one stage, and then the rest of the stages which you had to teach, not enough time for that, you will not be able to explain it properly. So timings are important. You have to keep in mind that equally divide the time. Sometime a step will be easy, so not to take much time on that. Some step will be complicated, so you have to explain a bit more. So you have to see that how much time you have to spend on each stage wise. Right. After the lesson, we can keep the plan as a record, what happened, making any changes necessary to show how the lesson was different from the plan. We can then use the plan and notes to help plan the next lesson. Now, after the lesson, what we have to see, that this lesson planning which I had for this particular topic, how it went. Was it successful, or there was something different I experienced? And maybe in your mind that this I had taught before, but for this class it was not effective the way I taught before. So there were some changes which you did. So what were those changes? Those things you have to note it down. Why? Because you don't always get the same type of student. You get different type of students. In one class you have a bunch of students with one way, in another class another way. Sometimes the same topic you will be teaching to the different age group. So it differs. You cannot teach the same way to all. And that's what comes in the personal aim, that we note down that when I was teaching this, what happened and what did I do to cover it up. Okay. And that those differences you have to keep in mind. This is what is the experience you gain about the teaching. That's not in one way. So different types of teaching to different classes, you will get experience in teaching different ways. It's no one way, right? And that you have to note it down in the personal aims, right? To be careful about the future teaching, right? Next one is, when we plan lesson, we ask ourselves number of questions. Now, that was the overall we discuss about it, that what lesson plan is. Now we are going to make the lesson plan. How are we going to do that? We will ask ourselves certain questions, like what are the components in it? Class profile, which we talk on the previous page, and that's what is it? Who are we planning the lesson for? Is it young learners, very young learners, young adults, okay, teenagers? Class profile you need to know. Timetable fit. What is it? Timetable fit. How is the lesson connected to the last lesson and or the next one? Because whatever you are teaching, it is part of the course. So one lesson which you have done last week, this lesson should have a connection with that. It should be the next step of it, or it might be the revised lesson of that, what they have done, or further extended exercises you are giving it to that. Then what the next one is coming lesson, how it is helpful for that. Like it should be going logically taking the student to the course, the whole course which you are going to teach. So lesson plan for one topic, it should be timetable fit. What's the connection with the previous one? How it is connected with the next one in the future which you are going to teach. Main aims that we discuss in unit 19. What do we want learners to learn or to be able to do by the end of the lesson? Main aim is the main topic which you are teaching. Subsidiary aims also we discussed there. What is it? What else do learners need to be able to do during the lesson to enable them to achieve the main aim? In detail, we have done that in the unit 19. Stage aim, this is also we discuss in detail in the unit 19. What is the purpose of each stage of the lesson? Right. Personal aims, this was the last thing. So these all, I'm not going into detail because already we have discussed in detail in the unit 19, okay? I will be going to explaining something which is we have not done before. So personal aims, personal aim is what aspect of our own teaching do we want to develop or improve? That is personal aim is for the teachers. Now this one, assumptions. What do we think learners already know or can already do related to the aims? Now when you are going to put a lesson plan there, you need to know that the learners will have already this much knowledge of the topic. Then they will be able to go ahead with this further and understand. You know, so you need to assume, okay, this much they know verbs, nouns, okay, now they can make sentences. So I will teach present simple tense construction of that. Why? Because there they have to use subject. So in subject there will be noun or pronouns. They know they need to know those things. Then they need to know verbs. Then you will be able to teach them present simple tense. You know, so that's how you have to assume what the student already need to know in order to follow up this lesson plan, right? Anticipated problems. Anticipated problems, what may learners find difficult in the lesson? What may they not be used to doing? What may they not feel confident about it? So when you are going to teach a lesson, you can anticipate, you can think about the learner's point of view. One is our point of view. Like as a teacher, definitely when we are teaching that topic, we have the experience of teaching. We are quite matured in it. We might have done different qualification in it. So our understanding is different. But when we anticipate the problems, we need to think the learner's point of view. When they are going to learn, where they will find difficulty in comprehending that topic. So that's what you have to think about it when I'm teaching this, what difficulty they will face. Then possible solution. Now for those difficulty, you have to find the solution. Okay, if they have this one, so this is what happened usually. Like if you see this negotiators, negotiation is a skill, and there are negotiators who comes and negotiate the disputes between different parties, you know. So or the anchors who are interviewing the people, so then they have questionnaires, and then they want to get the information out from that, so then they know what type of question they have asked, so what answer will come for that, and if the answer is this, what question I have to ask further. That is all anticipation. Likewise, we need to anticipate about the problems of the student and find the solution. If they have this kind of problem, difficulty in understanding this is how I will explain. So if they are low, they have a basic level, this is how the explanation at basic level will go. If they are intermediate level, explanation will be in this way. So That's what you need to anticipate the problems and possible solutions for that, right? Okay, so possible solutions mean what action will be taken to deal with the anticipated problems. Next, teaching aids, materials, equipment. Teaching aids, what should we remember to take to the class? You need projector, you need CD player, you need some charts for that. Okay, teaching aid, material, what sort of material you need to add in it, supplementary material, you have downloaded some worksheets, some exercises. Okay, what are the things you want to take with you to the class? And equipment, right? Procedure, what are the tasks and activities for each stage? Procedure, you have to put it how they will be doing those things, right? So you have to mention this is how this activity will be done. This will be done in a kind of class-wise groups you have divided. It will be pairs, open pairs, closed pairs. Okay, what type of activity to be done in which way, right? So those things you have to decide for each stage. So the procedure you have to mention. Timings, as we talk about it, timings are very important. And what length of time will we need for each stage, and keeping in mind not to exceed explaining certain things, keeping that the timing aspect in mind. Right, interaction patterns. What's that? In which ways will learners work at different stages? For example, individually they will be working, in pairs they will be working, in groups they will be working, or as a whole class they will practice. So that's you have to mention in it. This activity should be done in this way, as a whole class or in pairs. Okay. So interaction patterns, you have to decide for those stage-wise activities. Homework. What further work will learners need to do before the next lesson? Now, you have finished a topic to that. You have to give them some kind of work to do at home. Homework is not done that, okay, usually what we do, we give the exercise, okay, write it. And the next time we come and sign it. No, homework should be something where they utilize this thing and get ready for the next. So there should be some challenging thing that they have to use the knowledge which they learn from this topic and do some activities and get ready, which is a little bit related to the next one also. So usually we don't do like that, but it has to be in that way. Then the homework is challenging, and the next day you can check it, that how they have done it, and making sure the parents have not helped them. Right. So anything you want to ask out of this? If not, give me thumbs, then I go ahead. Right. So we will go ahead. Some lesson plans may not include all these components. Now, what they mention over here, it may not be in all lesson plans, but when we are planning lessons, it's always important to ask ourselves these questions. Lesson plan different ways, different schools, they have lesson plan different ways, they adjust it. Lesson plan for the young learners is different way, for the young lower secondary different way, upper secondary different way, adults different way, private institute you are teaching different way. So it depends. It may not what they have mentioned over here applying to all, right? So, but it's better to ask ourselves questions which they have mentioned over here, right? So all the components together give us good way of checking that we have thought about our learners and about lesson and anticipated and difficulties that might arise. So one, we need to think about the learner's point of view and anticipating their problems and finding solution for that. That is a common one which you can apply to any lesson plan. For example, we might plan a mingle as a way of practicing specific question forms. Anticipate that students may find a quick way of completing the task without practicing the target language, and work out some extra instructions to remind them what they have to do it. So that is how, not necessarily the whole thing, but a few things, what kind of learners are there who are going to follow this lesson plan. When they are following it, what sort of difficulties they will face, and what's the possible solution for that, and activities need to be done in which way. All right, so that depends. So those kind of things you can sort out, which is applicable to every lesson plan. On the next page, they have given a pattern of the lesson plan. The way they have prepared over here may not be exactly resembling the lesson plan which you are doing at in the school, but this you can go through that how whatever they have mentioned over here, that they have put into the lesson plan here. So you can go through that in your own timings to understand different parts of it and how they have put there, okay, with the description and the timings and all this they have mentioned. Now we will discuss practicing in the classroom. When we make a lesson plan, page number 136, okay? When we make a lesson plan, we need to be sure about the learning rationale. What's that? Or reasons for the plan. Why? What's the reason we are making the plan? To ask ourselves how the procedure will help to achieve our main aims and make sure that there are strong connection between the different stages. How it will achieve the main aim, what we are going to teach, and then when we divide that at the stage aims, how it is well connected, strong connection with each other logically is there, which make the learners understand easily and leading the learners towards the main aim of the lesson. Second point, we also need to build in variety. For example, how we can use different activities, types, language skills, and interaction patterns. Learners of all ages need variety, but this is especially important for young learners who need frequent changes of activity. Now, variety is needed, especially they say for the young learners, because they cannot they can't sit at one place for a long time. That is one nature of the young learners. Secondly, they cannot focus on one topic for that long. You need to change their activities, then they are interested in that. Okay, so that's why they say variety should be there in it. A lesson plan can include stages which we can leave out if necessary. We can also include some different possibilities in a lesson plan. For example, activities for differentiation or an extra activity to use if learner takes lesson time when expect to complete a task, or if we are not sure how well parts of the lesson of the plan will work. So stage wise things, like when you have to see whether certain stage you can avoid, maybe planned, but sometimes the main thing which the main aim of the lesson, they are clear about it, and if you teach certain stage over there, it will be unnecessarily, so you can avoid that. It is up to you. You are the driver and you have to find the route to reach to the destination, so it's up to the teacher to decide on it. Okay, that's what they are talking about. That the next one, it's good idea to keep lesson plan as simple as possible. Point to be noted, keep it as simple as possible. So notes are better than full sentences. Like, we don't put, whenever you are writing the instructions for something, it should be short possible way, not full sentences. Okay, that's what they are telling you. So write the notes when you are writing message you are sending, so it is always short, not full sentences. And that's what you do, like you are in the lesson plan, you have to mention the things. So that will be in the short way. And learners no need to describe every step in great detail. Plus the stepwise things which are there, sometimes you do not need to get into a lot of explanation about it, right? Something which is in the short possible way, you can make them understand, no need of getting into it. Or sometimes you just overall give an idea and leave it to the teacher or a person who is following your lesson plan, that how they do it. But if you go to the small steps and describe, then it means that the person may be cannot deviate from that when you explain. So a little bit, keep it journal, not to get into that much details. Is this point clear to you? Keeping a bit journal, so you give space to the teachers to adjust accordingly. But if you mention from A to Z, the each and every step, then the person doesn't have any choice if they want to deviate from it. Is this point clear? Kumarika, it is clear to you, right? Okay, fine. Next. Where were we? Yes, okay. However, we may want to write down some important things in a complete form. For example, prompts for drilling, questions to check learners' understanding, instruction, etc. Now, this which we talk about, not to get into more complete detail of it, describing. It may not apply for those things where you are checking understanding of students about the topic. So how to check their understanding? There you might be putting up some questions. Those questions should cover up each and every aspect of the lesson, that main topic. Why? Because you are trying to understand how much they have understood the topic. So to check the understanding of the student, there you have to keep that the question should be asked in such in a way that cover complete way of the main topic and try to check perfectly the understanding of the student regarding it. All right. So the next one is lesson plan can be divided into two parts. These are called background and procedure, and you can see this division in the lesson plan above, the one which they have given, background and procedure. Okay, the components in the background come from thinking carefully about who our students are. So for the component which is mentioned for the background, it comes who our students are, what type of students you got for whom you are making this lesson plan. That is the background, and what they need and what our aims are, what they need to learn out of it, and what is the aims, what we are, which way we are leading them towards. Okay, the answer to these questions provide a context that help us to write the procedure part of the plan. Yeah, so when the question which we ask from ourselves, answers when we are getting of those questions which we discussed on the previous page, it tells us the procedure, how we have to make the procedure for teaching that particular step or stages. All right, is that clear? So that's it. That was the unit 20 lesson plan.